Welcome to Fight Club 24/7. My name's Johnny Rashman. Right, let's get straight into it. Vidal Rilay. I want to talk about his boxing career. Right, as you can see by the title is Vidal 100% focused on boxing? Now I'm going to explain what I mean by that. Now, first of all, it's fucking important to highlight that although Vidal's following is predominantly from a YouTube fan base and KSI and all that market, that's his following. He is a boxer, right? Don't get it twisted. This is not Jake Paul. This is not a YouTuber coming into boxing. This is a legit boxer who became a YouTuber. So don't fucking get it confused, because I get some people asking me, "Oh, do you think Jake could beat Vidal?" Listen, that ain't the comparison, right? Jake Paul isn't on the same stratosphere as Vidal Rilay. Believe you me, he might manipulate his fans, he might waffle all the shite to get the numbers and the views and the crap he has to do to sell himself, right? He ain't in the same league as Vidal Rilay, right? He'll never fight him. He won't even spar with him, right? So let me just put that one to bed. Vidal had a good amateur record, right? He won 8 national titles, a European Junior silver medal. He became a youth Olympian for Great Britain. I believe he's captain England. Amateur record, 48 wins, 8 losses, 19 knockouts. So, very good amateur career, decent. Like, this is not someone who's taken boxing up late or who's coming to boxing from a different industry. This is someone who's boxed since he was 6 years of age. So, once that happens, you've got certain ability. Do you know what I mean? You're ahead of people who have started boxing much later in life. Right? So, that will help Vidal. But professional boxing is not amateur boxing, right? And I don't care who you are. You have to be 100% locked in, zoned in, focused, or you won't get anywhere as a professional fighter. You might win a few fights, get a few knockouts, and and get a few wins, but you'll never have a substantial career. Now, not everyone can do. Not everyone's going to be a champion, world champion, British champion, and that's fine. Some people do it to put food on the table. They fight every week, right? But Vidal's not that. He's someone who's got good amateur pedigree. So he's going to come into boxing looking to be a world champion. Like, that's what he'll be looking to do. Or European champion, he'll be looking to collect belts. But as I say, if you're not 100% focused on boxing, you just won't do it. I don't care how talented you are. Now, I know he's had injuries and he was signed by Floyd Mayweather Promotions a few years ago, and he had a few fights for them. Then he was meant to fight on Gervonta Davis's card against Gamboa, and he pulled out with a back injury, and then he obviously fell into YouTube. Now, he is in a bit of a weird position because he's probably got a bigger following than most world champions. A lot of his followers won't be boxing fans, right? There'll be YouTuber fans and KSI fans and Jake Paul fans and all that lot. I know that's fine. Look, there's a market for that place. It's not my cup of tea, right? I don't watch it. I never knew who any of these blokes were before they started coming into boxing, right? That's not me disrespecting them. I've got respect for what they do. They've got their own hustle. There's a market for it. Fair fucking play, right? It's just not my cup of tea. I don't watch any of it, right? But Vidal's following is he's basically known for training KSI. That's how I heard of him. I mean, I'm in boxing myself. I'm in the media game. I didn't really know who Vidal was. I'm not going to lie. I thought I didn't know how good he was till I actually researched him, and you could see his amateur career. His dad's his trainer and all that, and then you realise, right? Okay, he is a serious talent, right? But his followers are YouTubers, and the problem with that is, as Spider-Man's uncle once said, with great power comes great responsibility. And what I mean by that is he's got to be putting out content regularly, right? Because YouTube's a mad game, right? You're only as good as your last fucking video. Now, obviously, when you get to certain numbers like Vidal, KSI and all them, you don't need to put content every day. Do you know what I mean? You could. But I'll tell you what, if you go a few months without putting content out, you quickly become the forgotten man and someone else will come and take your spot. That's what YouTube's like. It's a jungle. It's a crazy jungle. You've got to be at it consistently. Vidal built on the foundations of getting a following from KSI, and he trained KSI, and all KSI fans became Vidal fans. So he's got a big following, and that is good. It is, because it means he can become a crossover star. In boxing, to be a megastar, you've got to be a crossover star. And what that means is you've got to appeal to people who don't watch boxing, right? Because your hardcore fans, your boxing fans will tune in and watch you. It's the people who don't watch boxing, right? Once they start buying tickets, because there's more non-boxing fans than boxing fans, once they start viewing you, buying tickets, it's a different ball game. You become a household name. It's why Tommy Fury went into Love Island. He was a boxer first. I know some people get it confused. Believe you me, he ain't Jake Paul. He was a boxer first, then went on reality TV, not the other way fucking round, right? It is a bit of an unusual position because in boxing, he's relatively unknown. He's not active, you know. If you don't watch, as I say, KSI and all that YouTube stuff, like if you're not into that, you're not really going to know who he is. So he obviously had that knockout on Saturday, and look, it'll be blown out of all proportion from people who don't really watch boxing. They'll be going, "Oh, what a knockout!" and "Oh, he could be a world champion." Look, he fought a journeyman. It was a good knockout. It was a good finish. And look, knockouts get people talking, right? You've got to knock people out. If you want to get people excited, knock people out. And fair play, he did, right? But you can't really take too much from that. So he has to integrate himself in boxing now. He has to be 100% fully focused. He can't be Vidal, the YouTuber who's coming to boxing. He's got to be the boxer now, right? Who may go into YouTube, who may put out content when he's not in camp and all that. But he can't let it take hold of his life, because you can't just do boxing and have an 8-week camp and then start doing your own thing and doing YouTube, and you've got a clothing brand and putting rap videos out. You can't do that. You've got to be in it 365 days of the year, 24 hours of the fucking day. That's what it is. If you want to be a world champion, if you want to have a substantial career, you've got to be focused, right? Because in high-level boxing, right, the difference will be not talent, not ability. Because when you both have the same ability and talent, it comes on work ethic. Who's more focused? Who's been putting the hours in? Now, I'm not saying he doesn't put the work in, right? He clearly does. But what's his focus like? The interview with Sky Sports was very interesting after his fight on Saturday, because he mentioned things like, he said, "I'm focused now," like he's not been focused in the past. And what was it was a bit alarming actually, was when the interviewer said something on the lines was, "Is it important that you become active now and you build on the back of this and you get back out quickly?" Most prospects, 9 times out of 10, will say, "I want to fight next week," or "Yeah, I want to fight as much as I can 5 times a year," or "I want to get out in the next 7 months, I want to get out 3-4 times. I just want to be active." He never said that, Vidal. He said, "I need to speak to my physio, and he was looking at me. I need to just take a rest and then, come back and put performances on." And even his dad said, no, we want him out at least 2 more times. So really, that's a mindset thing. That's telling me, are you really 100% focused on boxing? Because most fighters would have said, "Get me back out tomorrow. Never mind having a rest." And especially when you're a prospect and you're just coming into the game from a professional side, he's not had many fights. So it was a bit concerning, and it does make me question, is he really focused on boxing? Because boxing's a hard fucking game. If you're making treble the money away from boxing, which you will be doing, right, it's hard for you to stay in camp and diet and do you know what I mean? It's harder, right? Because as I say, he's in the position where he's got the following already from YouTube, right? He's not a boxer, then has the following. It's totally different. So there's always going to be a question of hunger, desire, there's going to be a question of that. So I'm not saying it's not going to work out for him. He's got ability. He really has. He's a good counterpuncher, got a good jab, got good fundamentals. You can still see he is a newly turned pro, there are mistakes he makes, but that's the same with any pro. If it's a future world champion, that's why you have to regularly have fights. And but you can see class. You can see the way he shifts his feet and the way he throws his punches. There's a bit of class there, right? So as I say, don't get it confused with Jake Paul and all that YouTube crap, right? This is a legit talent. But as I say, focus and dedication and just putting everything into boxing is the only recipe for success. Because if he doesn't, he might have a few wins and there might be some silly bets with KSI and all this. I'm not interested in. I don't want the Sky Sports commentator to ask him about his stupid bets with KSI. Fuck all that off. Get rid of all that nonsense, right? Forget it. Concentrate on the boxing, right? And if he does concentrate on it, he'll have a decent career, but I don't know. We'll have to see. As I say, he's got a fucking big profile, right? So he has to maintain that, doesn't he? He can't just go off the radar. So he's going to have to balance it, but he has to focus 100% on boxing. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I need to see him fight regularly. Don't be talking about world belts, British belts, or anything like that at this stage. You can't. Right? This is not the time to talk about it. Let's see him back out. Let's see him active. Right? And let's review it again in another 6 months. Let me know what you think. Do you think Vidal has a promising boxing career? Do you think it will fade off? Is he 100% focused on the sport? Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know.